Covers and conversation.
Here I find myself again, time traveling only in my head. From the past to future plans, yeah. My emotions are valid, but the goal is not to be triggered every time. Never mind, it's just life. It's okay for my sanity, and I'll forever and always be here, present. I am enough as I am. I am fully equipped, even when the tide and the currents start to shift. I am adaptable. I am adaptable. Safe for me to be grounded in the present moment. The balance between problem solving and the universe working itself out. All that I have is all that I need to actualize it. I can't doubt. My emotions are valid, but the goal is not to be triggered every time. Never mind, it's just life. It's okay for my sanity, and I'll forever and always be here, present. I am enough as I am. I am fully equipped, even when the tide and the currents start to shift. I am adaptable. I am adaptable. Safe for me to be grounded. I honor God when I honor you. You honor God when you honor me. So if you don't honor God, how could you honor me? Peace, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Covers and Conversations. I am your host of Tanani, Nikita, Mwande, Knick-Knack, Kit-Kat, Ika, all the things. So happy to be back again. Yeah, let's get to it. It's so hot today, so I doubt I'm going to be staying for a long period of time. But yeah, let's be present and see what happens. I don't have any notes, so it's going to be a rant, right? But okay, let's see where it goes. Cool. Present by King Sis. Okay, King Sis is a phenomenal artist. She's I don't know if she likes it that way, but she should be more famous for her work because her music is, But anyway, this song I found, I think last year, 2024, and it just took over me like a storm because it's such a beautiful affirmation about being present in the moment, because you know that saying, what does it say? The past is gone, the future is I don't know, but the present is a gift. I will quote it and put it somewhere on the video. But the present is a gift. That's why it's called the present. The now. If you think about it, the now is really all we have, in terms of time, because time is not necessarily linear, but it's just all we have is now. We really have now, because even if you say tomorrow, even if you say tomorrow I'm going to be doing this. By the time you do it tomorrow, it's going to be now, right? You get what I'm saying? So now is the present moment, now is what we have, and now is what we should cherish. And being here and now is one of the most extraordinary things, to feel the sensations in your body, to hear what you're taking in through your ears and your mouth and your eyes. It's a very sensual thing, like of the senses. So if you're very numb to your senses, then you can't really be in the present moment, right? What's most often in the way of us being in the present moment is past thoughts or future thoughts, right? From the past to future plans, time traveling in our own minds, which is what I was saying. Time is not linear, because if we can time travel in our own minds, then what? It can't be linear. But of course, in this dual nature and what that we live in, it seems as though it is, right? Because there's yesterday, there's today, and there's tomorrow. But all these things, exist interconnectedly into the now, right? They exist now because yesterday is gone. All there is now. So even if I have a memory of yesterday, it's happening right now, right? And now is what we have. Now is the gift that we have. So the present moment. Another thing that keeps us from being in the present moment, right? Our thoughts and where our subconscious is, right? Like where that is in terms of, how do I word this? Or the event, right? It's what happens inside of you. So when there's trauma, we sort of like block out certain things if they're too painful to handle in the moment. So we block it out, right? So imagine if you were 7 years old, there was some sort of trauma, and then you block it off, and then you fracture yourself, right? Because then there's this part of you that's traumatized, and then there's this part of you who's able to like move forward. So this part is often buried deep inside. So if there's little pockets of those moments buried in your body, then you can't really be fully present in the moment, and it's going to take work for you to do so, because then you have to first unravel and feel and go through and process all of the things that you were not able to process at the time of the trauma, right? Because trauma, I learned this from the Somatic Institution for Women. Trauma is too much too soon, right? So we can't handle it, and so we fracture ourselves. The part that experiences it goes into hiding, and then we move on with our lives, right? We move on with our lives, and we don't necessarily move on, efficiently, because those aspects and those parts of us that are buried are still here, and if not, checked and worked on, then they rule our lives in this as the subconscious, right? They rule our lives in the background, right? So that's why they say, heal your inner child, because all of the things that happen to the inner child, to you when you were a child, is what consists of your inner child, right? Right? I don't even know how to word this, but feeling into all of these things, because when you sit in stillness and in the now, in the present moment, and you just revel in it, then things come up, sensations you didn't know. For the longest time, when I was starting out in somatics, I would feel a pain in my heart, like physical pain, guys. Like if I'd sit in the present moment and just be with my heartbeat, it would be like pulling, tugging in my heart. And I'm grateful to God that I had the capacity in myself to sit with that and feel it out. I'm not saying that all of my heartache is healed and stuff like that, but being able to sit and just not feel pain in my heart is such a cherished moment nowadays, because for the longest time that was the situation, because there was a lot of heartache in my heart, in my life, in my heart. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about this. Oh, I am enough as I am. I am fully equipped. These are things that we should be telling ourselves and saying to ourselves, because imagine, how many thoughts do we have in a day? I'll put it in somewhere because I'll look it up. almost all of those thoughts are negative thoughts, right? And they run the show. So how many times do we speak to ourselves in a kind manner, in a empowering manner? Which is why I love this song so much, because it tells you, and when you sing along, you say, I am enough as I am. I am fully equipped, even when the tide and the current shifts. I'm still standing. I am still fine. I'm still cared for. I am protected. I am safe and I am stable. Like saying those things to ourselves, and it requires repetition, because how many times do your thoughts repeat themselves? Especially if there's no conscious effort of clearing out the muck, then you're just regurgitating those fucking negative thoughts, day in and day out, just repeating the same fucking thing that runs in your mind, and then you wonder, why can't I do this? Why can I not stand up for myself? Why can I not, take charge of my life? But it's the programs that are running in your mind, right? If there's no conscious effort to work with your subconscious mind and, do your CBTs and stuff like that, then you're just constantly regurgitating a version of you that no longer serves you, but you can't do anything about it, right? Because it runs the show. It is the subconscious, 95% of the brain, which is buried in our body, right? Because that's why we feel sometimes that the flesh is running things, like we'll feel like we're slaves to our flesh. That's because those are the programs that are working in the back of our minds, right? And those are the same programs that sabotage us. So self-sabotage, because the conscious you is like, okay, I want to get rid of self-sabotage. I want to get rid of, procrastination and, people pleasing. But if the subconscious and the 95% of you is still stuck in that mode, then there's only so much you can do with the 5%. You can only do it in the now. But the background of the now is run by the program, right? So, choose. Like, do you want to continue down this path that does not work for you, right? It doesn't work for you. It really doesn't. I know for one, people pleasing, definitely. Procrastination, definitely, right? Like, all of these things, it's like they need to be worked on, right? And there should be a conscious effort of reprogramming and regulating our nervous system. Coming back to this again, is the nervous system is what controls everything. So if you had trauma at 6 and then now it's stuck somewhere in your body, and then you can't get to the air and to move in that area and expand it and release the contraction, so you just tensed up and dysregulated. And there's a lot of work we need to do on ourselves, and it has to be conscious effort, because conscious effort to work on the subconscious, because up until then, nothing is going to change in your life. Instead, shit is going to get worse. I saw 111. New beginnings. Are you willing to take the leap into the new beginning for yourself and do the work, right? 1, 2, 3. Also, shadow work falls into that, because of the trauma and the horrific things that happen to you in your childhood. It's like you have pockets of trauma that are just buried in you, and shadow work helps to bring them to the surface and for them to be released. And it's not easy. That is the thing. Nothing is easy. Nothing with having is easy, right? They say. It's like, have to choose. Is this the way that I want to continue doing things, right? Repeating the same shit, and they say it's insanity. I have a bit of beef with that word, insanity, like insane, because they use that to call you crazy. But if you look at the word, it means insane, right? It means you're in sanity. You are, for me, you are conscious, and you are, in your proper mind, for lack of better words, but in your right mind, right? Because you're in sanity. You are inside of it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I digress. Let's go back to what I was saying. They call us insane. So repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. That is where that came from. I agree with the statement. It's just the word insanity that I have kind of an ick about. Yeah. Okay. It is stifling. I just saw 1, 2, 3 again, so confirmation. It is stifling hot in here, guys. You know, my mind is just scrambled up into a ball. Let me just think quickly what else I wanted to say about this. Oh, being in the present moment, meditating. That is the best way to be in the present moment, or gardening, or coloring, or painting, right? 2 to 2. That's how you get to be in the present moment, or just being in the present, listening to music and just dancing and, you know, feeling and singing to the lyrics and just being, right? Just to be and to be in the present moment and to be alive and to be in your senses, in the here and now, because the here and now is really all we have. I am going to recommend The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I read that book a long time ago. Maybe it's time for me to read it again. But it's such a powerful insight into what it means to be in the here and now, in the present moment, because the present moment is really all that we have. And, you know, substances and unhealthy coping mechanisms, they take us away from the now, right? In our minds. But in reality, time is moving regardless of whatever it is that you're doing or not doing, right? We have to just find ways to get back into the present moment, you know, and deal with things as they come up, because substances, you know, they help us escape. So we move from what's causing us heartache and, you know, just intensity and, you know, those sort of emotions. We just want to move from that and find relief, right? So we've only found relief in the short term, because in the long run, you know, it gets harder and harder to go back. I saw this quote about, I don't know if it's Japanese or something, but it says, if you get on the wrong train, get off as soon as you can, because the longer you stay on the train, the more expensive it is to get home. So perfect analogy for this. The more we escape, the harder it is to get back into our essence and, you know, our natural selves, as opposed to our traumatized and negatively affected and impacted, you know, ways of being and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I feel like I'm just blabbing, crazy. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, Mercury is in retrograde, so it's a beautiful, and Venus as well. It's a beautiful time to reflect on, revisit, and, you know, things that have been coming up for you for a long time, but you haven't been, you know, paying any attention to or putting off to the side. It's a very good ass time to do that, because the energy is in alignment for that, especially around communication, relationships, money, and, you know, all the things that Mercury and Venus are about. It's a very good time to do those things. Not perfect in any way, but we try, right? We try to be doing these things. We try to do the work on a daily, because that's what life is. Life is daily living. What are you doing on a daily? So it took me a while for this to, like, actually connect in my brain that living is just a daily thing. It's daily. Yes, maybe at the end of the week you look back and it's like, oh, okay, this is what I did. But the fact is, the living is in the here and the now. The here and the now is the only thing we have. So I want to tell you this. You are enough as you are. You are good enough. You are well enough. You are beautiful enough. You are crazy enough. You are weird enough. You know, you are just enough in your being as you are. There's a plane passing. So pardon if the sound goes out. Yeah, safe. Anyway, yes, affirmations. Very important if you have a negative self-concept, right? You think of yourself and talk about yourself in a negative way, then affirmations are the thing for you. Of course, when you do affirmations, everything that is in the opposite of that, what you're saying, is going to come up. That is the time to deal with it, you know. Why do I feel like I'm not enough? Because when you say I am enough, and then your brain's like, no, I'm not, or no, you're not, then that's the time to work on it. Why do you feel like you're not? And then, you know, that is the lie, obviously. So what is the truth? I can't deal with this, you know, laptop fart and shit. Pardon. You are capable. Pardon. Sorry for that. But yes, you are capable of anything that you set your mind to. You know, that's why they say the mind is a terrible enemy but a very good friend and tool. So we have to learn to work with our mind and do the things that the mind needs, right, in order to be of optimal health. Okay. Anyway, yes. If you haven't been told or haven't heard this today, I love you. You are capable of anything that you set your mind to. You are beautiful. You are brilliant. You are bright. You are able to do anything that you want to do in this life as long as you put in the work. Put in the work. You are amazing. You are made of stardust and wonder. Anything that you wish to do, you can do. Any desired reality that you want to see into your life, you can manifest. You can bring it into existence, right? As long as you're a co-creator in this experience, because there's our creator, and then we have to be co-creating with it, right? We have to be here and doing the things, right? Because praying without works is dead. Faith without works is dead, right? That is why you have to do your affirmations. That is a sort of prayer. Do your affirmations, but do the work. That is going to be a hindrance to that in any way, right? You feel like you're not good enough. Why? Who told you that? Whose voice is that in your head that's talking, right? We're programmed in the first 7 years, that is the development of our root chakra. The first 7 years of our life is what determines our foundation for life, right? So if our foundation is messed up, then our adulthood is where we suffer. Our teens and adulthood is where we suffer. That's why the things are the way they are now for like those in their 20s and early 30s, because it's like, the programs are showing themselves to not be useful anymore. So we have to make a conscious effort to go back and rewire, all the re's, because retrograde. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. I love you because I am all over the place, and I am sorry if you don't get anything from this video, but I do feel like there is some value in it because I am here and I have showed up. I'm grateful for you guys who showed up and watching this with me now, who are watching me right now. Just one more time again, you are worthy, okay, of everything and all the things that you desire. The reality that you see for yourself, you can manifest as long as you put in the work to do so, right? We don't chase over here, we attract, right? We attract all the things that we need to live the desired life that we want, right? Co-creating with God and with the universe, right? Okay, I'll see you in the next one. I love you so much from my own Zakiat, and I appreciate you for being here with me today, for sharing your precious time and precious energy. That's another thing, our time. How do you spend your time, right? How do you spend your time? Are you spending it in things that are conducive for you, that are helping you progress and move on in life?